You know who's going to be pissed and not impressed with your list, though? Can I see your list again? I mean, Jalen Hurts, not in the top 5.
I know. Look, I hate
Prescott,
these lists.
not in the top. Jared Goff, have you heard of him?
I know, but you know what? He's like similar to Pat, and I don't want to have a snap reaction. These lists are so hard to do.
Of course.
And honestly, these are guys I just have a lot of respect for, and they've played a lot of good football lately. But like, you know, Goff, Brian Flores and that Vikings defense, they got after him yesterday, and it affected him similarly to what Mahomes had to deal with in Buffalo. And look, if you had asked me this list last week, Daniel Jones would have been on this list. Obviously, you go out and you have 5 turnovers in a game. Oof. That's just, it's like lingering in my mind, right? But I think, you know, going back to what you said, the personal side of like the Sam Darnold story is so important. And look, for as great as these players are, there is a personal side to it. And how do you handle that adversity? I think that's why I love the stories of Sam Darnold and Daniel Jones and Baker Mayfield, because it's kind of a win for those guys who have kind of been cast aside, you know, the media, the fans, he's not any good. No, they're good players. You got to be in the right situation with the right people around you. And it goes to show, you know, it's about timing and place. And these guys have taken advantage of those opportunities.
Drake Maye, unbelievable. You keep bringing him up. So let's just look right back to your backyard. I know you know him a little bit. You broke down plays with him?
Yeah, we did that last week. He's such an incredible kid. Sometimes you forget that he's only 23. Like, my son is 13, but he's big and he's mature. And sometimes as a parent, I forget, like, I treat him like he's a 16-year-old. And now I think that's kind of where we're getting with Drake Maye. Like, sometimes you got to remember this kid's only 23. And last year was not easy for him. And so he's played so well this season that yesterday is considered an off game for him. And I mean, he had a few plays, but you see right here, like the comfortability with which he's operating Josh McDaniels' offense. I knew it would come. I knew it would be there because Josh is a tremendous coach. And by all accounts, obviously Drake is talented physically, but from the people that I know who've been around him mentally, he's just as talented. And so the fact that it's happened this quickly, look, it's not sustainable to do that every single game. And so if yesterday's the worst that he's going to play, the Patriots are going to have a chance to take a long run in this postseason.
What do you mean by that? Let's take a look at it. They are on FanDuel. They won these 6 straight. Tied for the best record in the whole AFC. Unbelievable. Yeah. They're 6th on this list, though, plus 1,200 to win the conference. Who should they be ahead of? Where should they be?
Oh, I think, look, I mean, I get it. Lamar was hurt and the Ravens, you know, but I got to think that they got to be up there, at least in between Indianapolis and Denver. I really do. You know, they beat Buffalo at Buffalo. I think some people are going to say, was that a fluke? They'll get another chance here pretty soon. But I think, honestly, after what I saw yesterday, I would put them ahead of the Colts, to be honest with you. I think they're right there with Buffalo, which is, I think people are like kind of waiting for the other shoe to drop. It's too good to be true, especially fans here in New England. They had it so good for all those years with Tom. It's like, is this really happening this quickly? But it's not just Drake, it's Mike Vrabel and the culture that he's built. I think he's building a team that will go and play anyone, anywhere, anytime. They don't care. They have a lot of belief in themselves. And as we mentioned before, I'm looking to see, you know, the trade deadline is Breece Hall an option? I thought maybe Jalen Phillips will, but Howie Roseman strikes again. I mean, how incredible is he as a GM to be able to go out and acquire these players? You're like, how do they do it? But look, they're in a win now situation, and he's been aggressive. But I would love to see the Patriots maybe add a piece or two, because I think their timeline has accelerated, and has a lot to do with the play of Drake Maye.
I will also say this, like to any Pats fan that maybe hasn't watched the Falcons a ton, they humanize quarterbacks in this weird way. Yeah. Josh Allen looked human.
And Baker
against them. Like I think, you know, he's going to throw an interception from time to time, Drake Maye. And
yeah.
I'd say against this Falcons defense where really nobody, he might have, I'm going to be hyperbolic here, but I think he's had the best quarterback performance against the Falcons this season, because they've been really tough. So yeah, you're giving all this love to Roseman. Elliott Wolf, you've got 24 hours to get Breece Hall. Do not let. Well, it's you have an opportunity here, so I do expect them to make a move, go all in, and sort of figure it out. Did you see? I'm sure you saw the Cardi B thing. This friendship goes way back. I think Kraft knows Cardi B longer than he knows Stephon Diggs for sure.
Yeah, remember there was the video of them dancing. Mr. Kraft had some dance moves with Cardi B not
friends.
Too long ago.
They're all friends. Take me into knowing Kraft, like you know Kraft. What are these two talking about? Yucking it up for 4 quarters.
Hey, RKK is more in tune with a lot of cultural things than you would think. And he was always, look, I'll never forget him bringing in like Meek Mill to the locker room. He's like, look, this is my friend Meek. And like, look, we all got a kick out of it. It was great. And I think the one thing that Mr. Kraft does is, look, he's found a great coach. He trusts in the players and he lets them do their job. For me, I played for 9 organizations. There's not a lot of owners that will have that kind of hands-off approach once they hire a guy who they trust. And I think he's done a tremendous job. And now he's around and he would come down and he crack jokes with you, but he's done a tremendous job. And so it's always fun to see, who's going to be in that box. And I think Kenny Chesney was in there at the beginning of the game. So that just goes to show kind of the expanse of what he brings to that organization. He's done a tremendous job.
I loved it. I loved every second of it. And I sat down with Mr. Kraft at training camp. And he was, Hamilton, we should grab some bites of that to show this week. He was so convinced in a way that he knows how to obviously knows how to deal with the media.
Yeah.
He's the reason the sports media exists in a lot of ways. But he was like, we have our guy. So definitively, so adamantly that I was like, oh, and I believed him for whatever reasons. He was like, Drake's the guy. We're gonna just watch. And I'm watching Stacey be like, oh God, what are you doing? Like, what are you?
Stacey.
Yeah, I was, but
Stacey's scarred from all those years with Bill.
It's just not a smart thing to do that. It's just not.
Right.
But that goes to show how much faith Robert really had in what's going on with everything. And Josh is in a good spot. This is like Josh's. This is what it is. What is the definitive quality of Drake Maye that stands out to you in knowing him?
Honestly, his personality. I mean, look,
poise.
No, but it's not so much poise. It's the humility. It's the ability to be like, I kind of joke. He always is like, oh shucks or oh shoot. Like he's kind of. And I asked him this. He was on our Quick Snap podcast. I said, where do you get that from? Is it your older brothers who just beat you up all the time? He's like, honestly, yeah. Like I had to just get back up and keep chugging along with those guys. And he's just really, to me, embodies in this day and age. You talk about the NIL era. He's kind of a throwback in that regard, right? He gives the praise to his teammates. He doesn't want to make it about him. And you'll love this story, Kay. So the school where my son goes to high school, they had a football game the other night, and Drake Maye just popped by to watch some high school football.
I saw.
And I was actually sitting in the stands with some of the other guys that I knew from the team, and they're like, "Is that Drake? He didn't tell us he was coming." And then it was a mass mob of people trying to get to him. And I think to me, it's like he doesn't realize what he means to this region yet because he's given them hope after a few tough years. So it's pretty incredible to see.
Again, Stacey's like, you can't just show up to play. Let us get you security. I love that. Let's talk about a gentleman who spent some time in New England. I don't think you two crossed over, though, you and Dabes.
No, we didn't. We always missed each other, but I've gotten to know him over the years, before, after games. And he also was at Michigan State a little bit, so we always kind of get a few jokes in about that.
Got it. Fans want him fired. Fans wanted to wake up this morning with him fired. What is going on with the Giants from your perspective?
Look, I think what Dart and Scadaboo brought to this team was a lot of energy, and it brought a lot of hope. When Scadaboo got hurt the way he did, you could see the air collectively taken out of that organization. I think Daboll's a great coach. He's learned from great coaches. I think he's actually, of all the people who you could have there working with Jackson Dart, I see a lot of similarities to a young Josh Allen when I watch Jackson Dart play. And when you look at when Josh really started to take off his career and develop as a quarterback, that's when Daboll got to Buffalo. And so I believe in them. I think they're having a tough time right now with injuries. Neighbors is out, Scadaboo's gone. The defense is just, they're hit and miss, right? They have this elite pass rush.
I would say the Niners have a lot of injuries, Brian.
That's true. That's true. Yeah. I don't know. I mean, look, the league is a tough place. And like we just talked about with those quarterbacks, New York is an even tougher place to be. And it just seems to be like an unfortunate series of events for them. I do believe in Daboll as a coach because I know what he believes in. It's a lot of the same stuff that I believe in. And when you lose Malik Neighbors and you lose Scadaboo and you got a rookie quarterback, and I thought the team played a lot better once Jackson got there. And I think that has to be a lot of credit to what Daboll and that staff did to get him ready. Now you lose Jackson Dart. There's a little bit of that aggressiveness that's taken. You lose Cam Scadaboo. A little bit of that aggressiveness is taken away. And they battle. They do. It's just, you got to find what it is, and the defense has to do a better job of getting some stops.
The defense is the problem. The defense is the smoking gun here, I think, in a lot of fans' eyes. Like, we get what's going on with offense. I think there's two things. Let's take a TV break. This is why you should subscribe to the YouTube at Up and Adams show, because we're going to really get into it now. Because I like Dabes. I think Shane's drafted well. They don't want to be drafting at the top every year, though, to get these Abdul Carters year in, year out. I don't know what the answer is, because there's this idea of even just the recklessness with which Jackson Dart, that's the word being thrown around. He needs to protect himself. He needs to slide. He can't be out there taking these hits or running amok. How hard is it to teach? What is the most important quality a head coach must have to impart that sort of discipline in learning how to slide and protect yourself in a young QB?
It's so hard. I think, honestly, the way that these quarterbacks are brought up, I should say, look, and Tom Brady has hit on this several times, so much is put on these guys as far as physical development, but sometimes the mental development isn't there. And that's where you lean on the coach like Brian Daboll or Mike Kafka, right? Guys who have been around the position, can develop that position. But these guys, they come from college and they can get away with a lot of it. I mean, I don't want to bring this up. I know we don't want to create this narrative for Jaden, but Jaden's 3 injuries this year. And the last night was not a good one, right? It looked terrible. But the reality is, and I was not a guy who could scramble. Honestly, the one scramble play I had in Cleveland is what got me with the torn ACL. And so there is a level of, you don't want to pull it back. We just talked about Drake Maye. It's something that he's had to deal with. And where do you find that fine line? Because you're going to get hit at quarterback regardless of how the game goes. Now you go out there and run around. These guys are big men, fast, physical, and they're looking to hurt you when you get tackled. That's just the way the game is. And so it's your responsibility to make sure you take care of yourself when you get outside of the pocket. And so how do you transition from the college level where you can really get away with it to the NFL level? Sometimes you got to take some of those bumps and bruises and learn the hard way, which is unfortunate.
So it's on the quarterback, not the coach? Because the truth is, that's why you drafted Jackson Dart, because he can scramble. His magic is out of the pocket. And guess what, world? When you're down to Cam Scatterbo, who's clearly a tone setter, he means more than what he can even do, bouncing off people, setting the tone, the toughness and all of that, and you're down Malik Neighbors, your legs are going to be... they need him to run. That's the show. That's the whole Giants show right now, at least on offense. That's what makes Jackson and potentially this team so dangerous on offense. Are you saying it's on the quarterback, not on the coach?
I'm going to agree with Tom here. I mean, at a certain level, you have to take a personal responsibility, and that's okay if that's your game. I always look at Lamar. I mean, Lamar does a tremendous job of eliminating hits, and granted, he's probably the fastest guy who's out there doing it. He's very smart in how he handles it. And I think at a certain point, the coach can't get into your helmet mid-play and say slide, right? You have to learn that. You have to make sure. And one of the greatest things that I learned from Bill Belichick in New England, there was a huge sign above the training room. It said availability is greater than ability, because it doesn't matter how good you are if you can't be out there to help the team win. And so a lot of that is on the young quarterback to understand this is a different level. This is Myles Garrett is chasing you. This isn't the defensive end from Mississippi State, okay? This is a different level. And the coach is going to tell him, but ultimately the coach can't be out there and make him slide or get out of bounds or throw the football away. That's something they have to learn. And that's the hard part, right? Is if you're a little more mentally prepared, maybe now you don't have to force yourself and get out of the pocket. Maybe you get to your check down before you have to extend the play. So it's a fine line. You don't want to take that. You don't want to take the athleticism away from all these guys. I mean, Josh Allen has done a tremendous job of it, but Josh Allen weighs 250 pounds, right?
So it's a hard comp to make because you can't.
I know.
They're not built that way.
It really is.
Back on TV with Brian Hoyer talking quarterbacks. We're just talking on our YouTube exclusive. Guys, go ahead and subscribe to the Up and Adams YouTube page. I want to talk about Mac Jones in this case of this game, right? He gets his 5th win. As the starter this season. Shanahan says after the game that Brock Purdy's turf toe will never be 100%. I'm sure you could go and talk hours and hours about that. How would you handle this quarterback situation with Mac and Brock?
Look, it's a good problem to have, right? And I think the way that Mac has handled it has been incredible. I mean, look, a few weeks ago, he said, this is Brock's team. I'm here to help win. That's the right way to do it when you're the backup quarterback. And I love this for Mac. Obviously, I was there with him his first 2 seasons. The first one was great. The second one was far from great. But I think, and actually I was texting with him last night, just telling him, how happy I am for him. You see him having fun playing football. He's joking around with the media after the game. He's done a tremendous job.
What did he say out? What did he respond?
They asked him, did you sub yourself out so Martinez could get in? He's like, yeah, Kyle, we were going to take a knee. Kyle didn't really see me, but I like to see for this guy who's had, some tough times. And I think you see a level of maturity that he's gained going through these tough situations. And I love the pairing of him running that system, because Mac's greatest strength is his brain, and he knows how to process things quickly. And that's what you see when he's had success out in San Francisco. So I love it. I think, look, you paid Brock Purdy the money, and until he's healthy, I think you keep rolling with Mac Jones. And as you said, turf toe is tough to come back from, especially when you're planting and pushing off at the quarterback position. But I think if you're the 49ers right now, you have to be very comfortable going out there with Mac Jones each week. I
mean, Brock's not going to be 100%. So we are, in your opinion, let's keep the Mac Jones show going.
I mean, for right now, he's executing at a very high level. Yeah, for this year, that doesn't mean that there's going to be some quarterback controversy, right? Kyle's going to understand how to handle this.
Kyle loves a quarterback controversy.
He does. He eats that. Look, I've been there before. So
we all know that kind of person who's like, oh, I can't choose between these two women or men. Like, I can't choose. I love them both. It's like we all have that friend that like constantly puts themselves in that dramatic situation because they like the chaos and that they just need that. And like we can say Kyle Shanahan loves that stuff. That's Kyle Shanahan's comfort zone right there.
Yeah, I think it's very telling how high he praises Mac in the media. I think it's very telling of what he really feels about him. Yes. And so I think,
always has.
It makes you wonder, does he wish instead of drafting Trey Lance 3rd overall, he could have had Mac Jones as a rookie and had him even younger and molded him the way he wanted him. But look, it's a good problem to have, as you and I both, we just talked about quarterbacks and staying healthy. Look, I think you go with Mac until Brock feels like he's good to go. And that's only up to him to know and the trainers. And then at that point, you paid him to be your franchise quarterback. You have to put him back out there. I think that's the right thing to do. And I don't think Mac is going to be upset about that. He's done a great job for that team. And ultimately, he's done a great job for himself moving forward, because teams around the league are going to look at him and say, that's the Mac Jones we saw his rookie year. We know he can be that type of quarterback. And so I wouldn't be shocked if he becomes an asset for the 49ers for some teams that are maybe looking to trade for a quarterback after this season.
NFC is a mess. Last topic for you, and I don't even freaking know where to go with it, and it's the Packers. Because they were at the top of the NFC, now it's the Eagles. I'm very close to the fan. I love this fan base. Like, I want them. They haven't had a convincing win until last week. And then I was like, okay, now, but they're just not like, I call it like squashing the cigarette on the sidewalk on these teams. Like, be decisive, be tougher, close it out, don't let teams hang around. And then they not only let a team hang around, they lose to these Panthers. After the game, LaFleur's talking about the red zone issues, 1 touchdown in 5 trips, this weird throw from Love, all of this. They went for it down 7 on 4th and 8 with 11 minutes left. What is wrong with the Packers?
I mean, look, they've had some tremendous games. You mentioned it, 2 weeks ago, Jordan Love looks like the best quarterback in the NFL, right, against the Steelers. Week 1, they basically handed it to the Detroit Lions. It's just one of those things in the NFL. You got to bring it each and every week. You can't walk out there, I don't care how good you are, and think you're just going to roll over a team. And I'm not saying I'm not there. I don't know if that's the case. But you see kind of like you said, like you see the back and forth, and you're like, man, I remember looking up yesterday, seeing the score. I'm like, the Panthers? I mean, and the Panthers are a good team, don't get me wrong, but that's a game at home that the Green Bay Packers should go out and just handle and do it the right way. And so until they figure out a way to be more consistent, it's going to be hard, especially, look, we just talked about Howie Roseman is gearing up for another title run. He's trading for all these guys. He's doing it. You're going to have to beat the Eagles at some point. I just don't know if they're ready. I think they play each other in a few weeks.
What is it? Then they play each other next week, Monday night.
Yeah, so that'll be a great
at Green Bay again.
Test.
But tell me, what is wrong? What's wrong? What is it? Why aren't they consistent? Why? Brian.
To be honest with you, I don't know, and I haven't watched them enough to tell you exactly what it is, but it's kind of been the way it's been since Jordan Love's taken over. There's been some great games where you're like, 2 years ago at the end of the season, I thought he was going to take that turn to be one of the top 5 guys in the league. Last year was, I would say, a bit of a down year compared to that. And so now you have a great game one week, you come back out, it's not so good.
Well, you're saying Jordan and not LaFleur, which, is
I don't know. I mean, it could be both. It could be both. And I think, like, when I saw them trade or sign Josh Jacobs, I was like, this is we talked about it with Mahomes earlier. I think Josh is one of the best running backs in the league. And I know there at times there's been like, should we give the ball to Jordan, to Jacobs a little bit more? And so you're kind of having that back and forth. And to me, that offense, which is in that Shanahan scheme, which is in that Kevin O'Connell scheme, it all starts with the run game. If you can play from ahead, you're in control. And when you don't get in control, it's kind of similar to what we saw with the Colts yesterday out in Pittsburgh, right? It's all about gaining control of the game and being in your comfort zone. And sometimes these teams, when they get pushed out of that comfort zone, they find themselves behind when they didn't think they would be. Sometimes those things start to unravel. And that's really where it comes down to the separation of the great teams from the good teams.
Tucker Kraft, by the way, this just in. We all know he left on the cart, hated that. He's their leading receiver by far, done for the year, torn ACL. So let's look at me, Green Bay. I am your fan GM. Get on the phone, Adam Peters. Get me a Zach Ertz. Go get Zach Ertz. They lost. Their season's done. They have 3 wins on the year. Jaden Schmidt, like all that's going on. Like that's Hamilton, Harrison, we're in our YouTube break. We'll say bye to Brian in a second. Harrison, Hamilton, is there anyone else that might be an interesting move for the Packers? They've got to go. Roseman might go get Ertz just to piss off the Packers. Like what? Like, right? Is there any other tight end that might be available? No, right?
Yeah, I'm thinking that's the biggest one that comes to mind right now. I know people have thrown out Mark Andrews. I think that's done with the Ravens being back in the mix.
They're not going to give him up.
Yeah.
They got to go get it.
That's a great point.
Brian.
No, I mean, look, you start to look at the teams, like you said, the Commanders, who had such high hopes coming into this season. They've dealt with injury after injury, especially their quarterback. This is not going to be the year for them. And when you look at it, they actually have the oldest roster in the NFL. And I think you were talking about it before when I was waiting to come on. This is a chance to maybe unload some of those older guys like Bobby Wagner, Zach Ertz, get them to a team that maybe has a chance to make a run late in their career and try to accumulate some picks, because you got to inject some youth into this team, particularly in the defense.
Juwan Johnson, Saints. Mickey Loomis, line 2. Go get those are the 2 teams to go get your guy from, and then put more on your rookie, Matthew Golden. We're waiting for that big moment for him. Now, he's going to have to step up and get it done so they can be consistent. And not just, I just don't like, listen, I have enough trauma in my life that I enjoy chaos. I thrive in it. I like it. It's fine. I like live TV, all the whatever. But I do want to know what I'm getting from a team. And like with the Packers, I'm a little like, what am I going to get? What are we doing today? What am I going to get? I always know what I get when I talk to you. Great analysis. I get to put you in a corner. You give me great answers. You are crushing it, Brian Hoyer. I cannot be more happy you're pulling Drake May on the show on a rant. Like what a random flex by you, which I love. So everybody, please check out Quick Snap Podcast. It's you. It's David Andrews, Brian David Andrews, every Wednesday on YouTube. Thank you so much, Brian.
Thanks, Kay. Thanks for having me.